Hey, T Sippers. Hey, I need to get caught up on a few things that I meant to come back with last night. But I'm going to talk about that standing ovation on President Day weekend. Yes, here it is. And we're going to touch bases on Pam Bundy's ass and some survivors and their disappointment in her, them. Down for the predators and not for the survivors. It's just blowing my mind, but I'm getting a much better understanding of the devil's game he playing and the cover up. It's a demonic cover up while they're trying to get off into this new world order. And I thought about it as well. The more we go off into the Bible and we're talking about the Antarctic and the fallen angels and, even Trump with the global warming. Yeah, he want that ice to melt. He trying to unleash some things. I really think that man think he God. He can't even change his own diapers. He can't even make it to the bathroom. How you God? I'm just asking. Let's go.
Donald Trump is absolutely losing it as the entire stadium in Inglewood, Los Angeles, erupted in a standing ovation for former President Obama. Donald Trump has completely
Standing
lost the standing
ovation.
ovation for former President Obama. Donald Trump has
Ain't
completely
that
lost the
Julius
culture. A
Urban?
standing ovation for former President Obama. Donald Trump has completely lost the culture. Everybody's supporting former President Obama. This is what Donald Trump dreamed.
I thought they said President Obama did nobody like him. He ain't do nothing. Everybody wish he was back. And when I say everybody, everybody wish President Obama was back in office. Y'all can say what y'all want to say, but that's the real deal, Holyfield, baby. You can say what you want to say, but everybody, and I do mean everybody, wish President Obama was back in office instead of the clown up there fooling with them kids. But carry on.
Of Obama got the standing ovation. Donald, do you think you are going to distract from the Epstein files and the fact that you
Nope.
appear over 38,000 times by posting photographs of former President Obama and Michelle Obama's faces on apes, and you thought we would be, just distracted by that? The Obamas are unfazed. They've called you a clown. They're getting a standing ovation at the NBA All-Star Game. Just watch them on the Jumbotron here, and here they are getting a standing ovation. Here, play this clip. Over 38,000 times by posting photographs of former President Obama and Michelle Obama's faces on apes, and you thought we would be, just distracted by that? The Obamas are unfazed. They've called you a clown. They're getting a standing ovation at the NBA All-Star Game.
Standing ovation.
Watch them on the Jumbotron here, and here they are getting a standing ovation. Here, play this clip. Ovation for another angle right here.
An IQ of 85 to 115 is considered average in the U.S.
Yeah, and this is what former President Obama posted for Valentine's Day. Celebrated Valentine's Day with my forever dance partner. Love you, Michelle. And here's what former First Lady Michelle Obama posted. My former teammates on and off the court. Let's see, what did Donald Trump post on Valentine's Day? Oh, he posted this attack on Bill Maher. It looks like a lunatic wrote it. I want to read
That
it.
man
Like,
ain't
Bill
happy with
Maher
Melania.
came
Hell,
to
they
me
don't
and
even
said,
stay together, do they?
Yeah, and this is what former President Obama posted for Valentine's Day. Celebrated Valentine's Day with my forever dance partner. Love you, Michelle. And here's what former First Lady
Love.
Michelle Obama posted. My former teammates on and off the court. Let's see what did Donald Trump post on Valentine's Day. Oh, he posted this attack on Bill Maher. Looks like a lunatic wrote it. I want to read it. It's like, Bill Maher came to me and said that he was going to like me, and he looked really nervous. But then Bill Barr ended up trashing me on TV, and then I said, dude, shut up. And
He
then
need a
Donald Trump's
friend.
like, and I said to Canada, you're going to lose
E.T.
ice hockey
need a
because China's
friend.
going to steal your ice hockey. And I was clearly joking about it. Donald, just get in life, man. You're weird, you're deranged, you're unhinged, you're a racist, you're a felon, you're a sexual abuser, you're a fraud, you are a phony. And even MAGA sees right now that you're covering up a child sex trafficking ring. Your name appears more in the Epstein files than the name Harry in Harry Potter, more than Jesus or God appears in the freaking Bible.
Ain't
What
that
else are
crazy?
we learning as well? More references to Donald Trump are being uncovered in the Epstein files. Like, how about this email? Have you seen this one sent June 8th, 2018? This is from Jeffrey Epstein to a guy named Andres Serrano, an artist. Here's what Epstein writes. One Madonna on the way. Instead of torture photo, maybe portrait of me instead. Presentation of Trumpville. Torture photos, presentation of Trumpville. How about this? From William Riley, a private investigator, to Epstein, April 18th, 2011. Before I call Trump, with regard Virginia, are there any alternatives? How about this email right here? Jeffrey Epstein to Jess Staley's daughter, former top banker at JP Morgan. Then he became the CEO of Barclays. And Epstein is speaking to Jess, and Staley resigned in disgrace from Barclays as his connections with Epstein were uncovered. And then this is Epstein writing to Jess Staley's daughter. Could you ask you did if he would like to be considered for Treasury? He's saying, can you ask your dad if he would like to be considered as the next Treasury Secretary? Because Epstein was apparently involved with Bannon in picking Donald Trump's cabinet like Treasury Secretary. And then Staley's daughter says, just spoke with him. He said, not yet, but thanks. That's how Donald Trump's cabinet was picked, by the way, with Epstein. Could we go back to Obama for a second, getting standing ovations? Let me share this with you. This was an interview that was just released between former President Obama and my friend Brian Tyler Cohen. And Obama, it talks about Donald Trump doing the ape photo posting by Donald Trump. And here's what Obama says, that he still sees a lot of hope. Play this clip.
First of all, I think it's important to recognize that the majority of the American people find this behavior deeply troubling. It is true that it gets attention. It's true that it's a distraction. But, as I'm traveling around the country, as you're traveling around the country, you meet people. They still believe in decency, courtesy, kindness. And there's this sort of clown show that's happening in social media and on television. And what is true is that there doesn't seem to be any shame about this.
Hey, Gladys.
Among people who
Hey, Purple
used to
Groovy.
feel like you had to have some sort
Hey,
of
Joe.
decorum and a sense of propriety and respect for the office, right? So that's been lost.
Lost.
It's a propriety and respect for the office, right? So that's been lost. But the reason I point out that I don't think the majority of the American people approve of this is because ultimately the answer is going to come from the American people. And we just saw this in Minnesota, in Minneapolis.
And former President Obama posted this. Watching the NBA All-Star Game and Team USA at the Winter Olympics, it's clear that sports, just like music and art, still has the power to bring us together, build community, and remind us of our common humanity. Let's play this clip right here.
In front of millions of viewers, Nadia Comaneci.
Sports can bring the world together, but right now we're in the middle of the Olympics. It's worth reminding us, we saw it in Paris, that when you watch the U.S. team and play in Paris, and the Serbian teams and the French teams, and you're reminded of what the Dream Team did to inspire all that, and you saw the French fans when Steph was hitting those threes, and they're mad, but they can't be too mad because it is such a that, and you saw the French fans when Steph was hitting those threes, and they're mad, but they can't be too mad because it is such a
It's art.
it can bring the world together.
Bring the
But
world
right now we're in the
together.
middle of the Olympics. It's worth reminding us, we saw it in Paris, that when you watch the U.S. team and play in Paris, and the Serbian teams and the French teams, and you're reminded of what the Dream Team did to inspire all that, and you saw the French fans when Steph was hitting those
Hi, Frank.
threes, and they're mad, but they can't be too mad because it is such a
It's art.
it's art and it's joy, and it binds us together to see human excellence in that way. That's only sports and music and the arts can do that. To bind us together, to remind us of our common humanity. That's something we want to
Regain.
preserve and build on.
And there was this amazing moment where Anthony Edwards spoke candidly about what it means to play in front of President Obama. As this account says, can you imagine any athlete saying this about Trump from Democratic Wins Media? Here, play this clip right here.
I know you've met him before, but the President Obama was here.
Yeah.
The Obamas was here. Did that give you any extra motivation to play any harder tonight?
Yeah, for sure. You always got to put on a show for, he my favorite person in the world. We was kicking it yesterday. Me and him, I had a great time yesterday. So I told him I was going to put on a show for him.
Well, Donald Trump was spending the weekend golfing. That's Donald Trump with Liz Truss, the former UK prime minister, who sent the UK markets into tanked the markets. I see two losers right there. And speaking of three losers, four losers. Dr. Oz, we learned, invited. I think it's worth to note on Valentine's Day that Dr. Oz invited Epstein to a Valentine's Day party. So we got Lutnick going to bring children to
Dr.
the
Oz.
island. Oz inviting Epstein to Valentine. Dr. Oz, we learned, invited. I think it's worth to note on Valentine's Day that Dr. Oz invited Epstein to a Valentine's Day party. So we got Lutnick going to bring children to the island. Oz inviting Epstein to Valentine's Day parties. Again, Trump's White House is the center of this entire cabal right here. And then, as you now know, and I reported over the weekend, Donald Trump released a fake Epstein list, right? You know the story? That the DOJ released what it said were the politically exposed persons list. And in order to muddy the waters, they put Trump's name and people who were involved, actually in a bad way, with Epstein. But then they include names like Janis Joplin and Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe and Dan Quayle, and they just put in a bunch of names like that in order to kind of obfuscate and just to make people not believe that the Epstein files and the lists are real. I mean, again, it's just such utterly despicable and horrible conduct by this regime. We also learned that Steve Bannon and Epstein were working behind the scenes with others in the Trump regime to bring down former Pope Francis, and they were finding ways to blackmail and go after former Pope Francis. I mean, you don't get
Hey,
much
Miss
more
Tom.
despicable than this. It's Donald Trump's post this weekend. He goes, "The Democrats refused to vote for voter ID. The reason is simple. They want to continue to cheat in elections. There will be voter ID for the midterms, whether approved by Congress or not. And then over the weekend, too, you had Kristi Noem talking about, oh, well, we're going after certain types of voters. We're going to go after these voters. Remember what Kristi Noem said? And here's how Tom Homan responded to it. Here, play this clip.
DHS Secretary Noem made some comments that Democratic leader Schumer just commented on earlier in the show. I want to play them for you.
What if working from home didn't have to mean selling products or posting online?
It may be one of the most important things that we need to make sure we trust is reliable, and that when it gets to election day that we've been proactive to make sure that we have the right people voting, electing the right leaders to lead this country.
So what does she mean when she says electing the right leaders? That's not really immigration enforcement or DHS responsibility.
I don't know. That'd be a question for the secretary. If I had to guess, probably that only those legally eligible to vote would vote. But I have not talked to the secretary about those statements. That'd be something she'd have to answer.
And just the more gaslighting from Trump's border czar Tom Homan this weekend. Here, let's play this clip.
When they say stop racial profiling, that's just not occurring. I mean, and ICE will briefly detain and question somebody based on reasonable suspicion. It has nothing to do with racial profiling. As far as the mask, look, I don't like the masks either, but because threats against ICE officers are up over 1,500%, actual assaults and threats are up over 8,000%. These men and women have to protect themselves. As far as identifying themselves, they all have placards identifying themselves as ICE, ERO, HSI, DEA, FBI. So they all have placards on them. So I'll let the White House and the members of Congress, fight that out. But I think some of the asks are just, I think they're unreasonable.
And I'll show you one more clip from this weekend. Let's play it.
Wasn't.
What's so wrong about obtaining a judicial warrant to enter private property?
That's not what the federal law requires. Congress themselves wrote the Immigration Nationality Act that gave power on administrative warrant to arrest somebody, and that's what's set up in federal statute. So if Congress wants that changed, then Congress can legislate. But right now, ICE is acting within the framework of federal statutes enacted by Congress and signed by the president.
Well, as I recall, you have previously said that you thought judicial warrants were necessary for searches. There's been this change in policy in that now ICE can go with these administrative warrants that are issued by ICE personnel. Why your change of heart? I mean, clearly at one point at least you agreed that was necessary.
No, I don't have a change of heart. What I understand, and I wasn't part of the discussion, is that DOJ interpret that law saying in certain circumstances, administrative warrant on somebody that has a final order removal already had a due process issued by a federal judge. They can enter premises. I'm not a part of that discussion, but that's the DOJ guidance.
Anyway, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million.
I think they full of buzz. Y'all hit the like button. Get the likes up as you enter in. Let me see what they're saying.
Barack Obama, he's been in the news for a couple reasons. One, he sat down for a lengthy interview with a hit liberal podcaster, Tyler Cohen. You may have seen his face or have heard of him. This is what we're seeing different politicians do more and more of. Obviously, anyone on any channel would kill for an Obama interview right now. Well, Cohen got it. And this is a rarity because the former president doesn't do a lot of long interviews these days, doesn't get pulled into every Trump debate. And so he was asked about and made his first public comments about Donald Trump's viciously racist online post about the Obamas, which was later taken down. Here was the response.
As I'm traveling around the country, as you're traveling around the country, you meet people. They still believe in decency, courtesy, kindness. And there's this sort of clown show that's happening in social media and on television. And what is true is
Thank
that
you, Ms. Tom.
there doesn't seem to be any shame about this among people who used to feel like you had to have some sort of decorum and a sense of propriety and respect for the office, right? So that's been lost. But the reason I point out that I don't think the majority of the American people approve of this is because ultimately the answer is going to come from the American people.
When he first came into office, Obama was one of the younger modern presidents, on par with Clinton or Kennedy rather than Trump or Biden. And he discussed how elder Democrats need to be open to the younger generation.
I'm pretty healthy, 64, feel great.
Yeah.
Look good.
But the truth is, half of the references that my daughters make about social media, TikTok, etc., I don't know who they're talking about.
Yeah.
There is a element of, at some point, you age out. You're not connected directly to the immediate struggles that folks are going through. I'm not making a hard and fast rule here, but I do think that Democrats do well when we have candidates who are plugged into the moment, to the zeitgeist, to the times, and the particular struggles that folks are thinking about as they look towards the future rather than look backward toward the past. That spirit, that energy, it's out there, and you can feel it, but it's bottled up. We haven't given enough outlets for young people to figure out, how do I become a part of that? And that's this enormous untapped power that we have to get back to.
Ever respectful, Obama saying the party's got to look to the younger candidates who are plugged in.
The current White House, this administration, and their enablers.
Freak show.
They're behaving so badly. They're doing such crazy stuff that it shouldn't be hard for our side to coalesce around the areas where we agree on and focus on that. And I think that that is going to happen if we are effective in winning the midterms.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
What did you see him emphasizing there?
Look, I think he's saying what a lot of people already recognize, which is, in terms of the midterms, that's going to be largely a referendum off of Trump. But we have a long path forward. Democrats do have a poor approval rating. We have brand problems that need to be fixed. Those aren't just going to fix themselves in a vacuum. I hope that people don't see success in the midterms as some indication that we've solved everything, because we haven't. But he talked about that a little bit, and I'm not sure if you're going to show a subsequent clip where he does discuss a little bit of the infighting, but I think that's going to be it. He has a very particular focus on coalition building as opposed to purity politics, and I think in an era where everybody has a voice, everybody has a platform online, making sure that we can still remember that the goal of politics is actually to build a coalition, to cobble together a big enough coalition to win, to be able to do something, is first and foremost.
Well, let's turn to that, because he discussed it with you at length. He referenced things that people are familiar with, the kind of mood of certain people being a scold, trying to dictate to others what their political morality should be, or this term virtue signaling. And this, I thought, was an interesting exchange. So we cut it at some length. Let's take a look.
I think there was a certain way of talking about issues for Democrats where we sounded like scolds. There was a virtue signaling that made it seem as if ordinary folks, if they did not say things in exactly the right way or meet this litmus test, that they were being chastised, pushed away. And the truth is, most of us, all of us, are complicated, and we have blind spots, and sometimes we say dumb stuff, and if you want to create an environment that is welcoming and makes people feel, okay, there's room for me here, then the message and the story we tell has to be, all right, none of us are perfect. All of us count. We all have good in us that we can tap into. We can all learn from each other. And I think that is something we need to recover.
What did you see him hitting there?
I mean, similar to what I was saying before, I think that, at its core, again, politics is about getting enough votes to actually win. And this stuff really does, it's personal for a lot of people. They hold it really, they wear it on their shirt sleeve. And so it's not a surprise that when it comes to these political matters that people will take it personally and they will want to impose litmus tests and they'll, do what they do online these days. But I think it's important to get these reminders from somebody who, doesn't have any skin in the game, but he has a lot of cachet. And so he has the freedom to be able to come out and say this kind of stuff to reroute the party, I think, into a smarter direction as we head toward 2028, even if it's just planting a little bug in our heads to say, like, we are, I'm sure you've heard people say politics is a bus. You're not necessarily going right to your front door. You are taking the bus to the closest destination to where you live, and that's how we have to think of it. We can't let perfect be the enemy of good, and you're going to have people within the coalition who disagree with each other, but it's going to be important to make sure to remember that it is a coalition at the end of the day.
It's interesting coming from him as well because he's won these campaigns, he doesn't have more to run. So even for people who are skeptical and don't like the message, it's different than some other old school Democrats saying, hey, I don't like this. He's speaking about it from the kind of good faith position within his party of how to win. You guys also touched on the Mamdani energy. Take a look.
What happened in our campaign and what you recently saw in Mamdani's campaign in New York.
Yeah.
When there's that sense of joy and engagement and involvement, then people feel like, all right, this is not just some transactional grind. This is me becoming part of a community.
Isn't it funny? Because I don't know about you, but like we use this word culture in different ways, but there is a culture of politics, and the idea that what was once the liberal street protests, counterculture energy, say, of the 70s, lost sight of that. How did liberals, even sometimes young liberals, get perhaps unfairly caricatured as no fun or hall monitors? And then Mamdani came along and reminded everyone, or you could be like this.
And look, between Mamdani now in 2026 and Obama in 2008, those are parallel campaigns. Those are people whose campaigns actually did inspire hope, as opposed to feeling like, as opposed to feeling like it's the lesser of two evils or whatever it may be. But politics needs to be hopeful. I mean, you are building a culture. I mean, to your exact point, you're building a culture and a community, and people don't want to join a community that is overwhelmingly negative, especially on this side. And so we have winning formulas right
We have winning formulas.
in front of us.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we need to be hit over the head with this idea that if you can have a hopeful, inclusive campaign a la Barack Obama in 2008 or Zoran Mamdani in 2026, that the formula is there. We just need people who are willing to pick up that mantle and not, fall into the DC trap of protecting institutions and processes and norms.
messing with kids.
That those institutions are not
Stealing
the
our
end. They are a
money.
means to an end, but the end has to be people.
Yeah.
It has to be
Raising our
people focused,
taxes.
and that's what Barack Obama's campaign was
Messing with the elderly.
20 years ago almost, and it's what Zoran Mamdani's campaign was just this past year.
And real quick, here were some of the quick light moments you guys had.
Wasn't political. Bad Bunny's halftime show. It was demonstrating and displaying. This is what a community is.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them.
Is Tupac alive?
He's alive on my playlist. If you're going to pull off a prank, it's got to be on somebody who can prank you back, and wasn't nobody going to prank me.
Did you find him to be the same old fun Obama, or now he's in his elder statesman role?
No, look, this dude knows how to hang, and I think that is such an understated value. Like, if you can get a guy who can just, you know, without cursing, who can just like hang on a podcast, who can go the next day to the NBA All-Star game and throw down about sports, and who can talk politics better than anybody else. I think like that there's so much power in something like that, because look, we're in the TikTok era. There is so much focus on authenticity and relatability, and this dude is the ultimate. Like, he is the ultimate guy, and he can do everything. He doesn't just fit neatly into like one bucket where the only thing you can talk about is politics. And there's a lot of virtue in that, and that's why Barack Obama is Barack Obama, and it's so difficult for other people to replicate that.
And that's why we miss him. We miss him so. It don't have nothing to do with left, right, black, white. We miss some intelligence. You understand? Yeah, now come on, hit the like button. I'm moving right along. I want to get these ladies out the way. Where did I put them? Hold on, y'all get the likes up for me. I played that about the... Hold on, y'all. The ladies on the survivors. The Pam Bondi failed. Big time.
Information about the crimes that were committed need in Maxwell.
These ladies, when they released the Epstein files, the survivors' names and information was exposed, but she did not release the predators. How dare her? Pam, ooh, I almost called her something demonic, in which she is. But, you know, you let me tell it. From my observation, she one of them kids that was on the plane with Donald Trump. That one up there. So she feels some type of way. She's still protecting her predator. But let's go. Let's hit the like button.
We were girls and young women who were victimized by Epstein and Maxwell in a sex trafficking ring. I know there are videos and photos. We were girls and young women who were victimized by Epstein and Maxwell.
Thank you for the bronze medal.
In a sex trafficking ring. I know there are videos and photos. I know that Jeffrey had recording cameras in his house. Powerful people who caused us harm are being protected and we're being exposed. It is meant to silence us.
There are calls for Peter Mandelson and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to come and give evidence here.
That would be incredibly helpful. We need to protect the next generation from another sex trafficking crime. We're going to do whatever we have to find justice, not just for ourselves, but for survivors everywhere.
How important is it for you both that you are all working together to try and achieve justice today?
It's really important because these are my survivor sisters, and they are the only people that truly understand what we've been through. I think that when you're hearing one voice, it can be easy to ignore. But when you're hearing a collective voice, it's more difficult to not pay attention. And so I think that in addition to what Charlene just said, the sisterhood that we have, this experience that, is so incredibly unique that, despite anyone's kindness and empathy, you just can't understand it unless you've been through it. And so I think that we were all feeling
women
kind of
are
isolated
worst
and alone,
of worst.
and now we have each other.
What women are worst of worst? The survivors? Joe Mill. What do you mean them women are worst of the worst? Are you talking about these two survivors? Are you kidding me? I'm a pause while we get that together. Y'all hit the like button. What do you mean them women are the worst of the worst? No, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Let's go back. Let's go.
Important because these are my survivor sisters, and they're the only people that truly understand what we've been through. I think that when you're hearing one voice, it can be easy to ignore. But when you're hearing a collective voice,
much love to you,
it's more difficult to not pay attention. And so I think that in addition to what Charlene just said, the sisterhood that we have, this experience that, is so incredibly unique that, despite anyone's kindness and empathy, you just can't understand it unless you've been through it. And so I think that we were all feeling kind of isolated, alone, and now we have each other, and we're stronger together.
What do you need
Absolutely.
to hear from the people you're meeting, the politicians you're meeting?
It would be nice to hear that they're wanting accountability and transparency, but honestly, we're hearing that with Pam Bondi's case,
I protect the victims.
coming up tomorrow, that
Hey,
the
Marshmallow.
Republicans are only going to
Hey,
ask things
Rando.
about how well she's doing, as opposed to accountability questions and full transparency of why survivors' names were not redacted and
They
why
failed. Pam Bondi failed on
predators'
purpose.
names were redacted.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you both about that. Liz, it's frankly astonishing, isn't it, how often survivors' email addresses, their phone numbers, their names are in the files unredacted. Yet time after time, the presumed perpetrators are taken out.
Well, we think that
Come on, Precious.
What was your reaction when you kind of saw that?
Take your time.
I think that we were really disappointed when we saw the files come out and we saw how heavily the names
It's
of the
okay to say
people
you were
who
pissed.
are potentially implicated in this crime were redacted, and we saw the omission of so much survivor data. I can tell you myself that when I found information on myself, my name was unredacted several times. Part of my address was unredacted.
Wow.
And so we see again and again where powerful people who caused us
Sending predators to her location, her whole address or part of her address, unredacted, so you can send them to where she's at. Who does that type stuff? And it pisses me off because the taxpayers are paying her salary for her to, intentionally put victims in harm's way on purpose. Who does that? Someone who's have a heart condition, somebody whose heart isn't right, somebody who needs the Lord quickly.
harm are being protected and we're being when I found information on myself, my name was unredacted several times. Part of my address was unredacted. And so we see again and again where powerful people who caused us
And she
harm are being
refused to
protected
apologize.
and we're being exposed. And so I think that that can be intentional. I
Set
think that
their smirk.
when information is released that exposes survivors, it is meant to silence us, but it's done the opposite. It's just made us stronger, it's made us angrier, and it's made us more steadfast in our pursuit of justice.
Sorry.
I feel the exact same way as Liz. When we see our names unredacted, it's wholeheartedly disappointing. We don't trust this justice system anymore. The truth and accountability is not there. They are hiding predators. And what are they hiding? And what are the legal reasons that these predators' names were redacted and ours were shown? It's unacceptable.
Do you think it was deliberate that this was done?
It feels deliberate. It feels like they are doing this to have us not
back down,
say any more about what happened to us. And when our names are fully out there, our addresses, our phone numbers, it was the law for that to not happen, and it did. And predators' names were redacted. That is definitely something that feels intentional.
In the UK, there has already been a degree of accountability. We've had resignations from key advisors to the Prime Minister. We've had, obviously, Prince Andrew.
A lot of people gonna have to step down.
In the US, there's been precious little accountability. That must be very difficult for you. How do you feel about that?
I feel that the UK has taken accountability and is dealing with these files in a respectful way. I feel like survivors are not respected in America, and I feel that there are people that are rooting for us, like Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna, who made this bill, but then the actual real predators whose names they have found in the files, there's nothing they're doing about them.
Liz?
I think that what we are seeing in Europe is a good start. I think that the American people should follow suit. I think that what we're looking at right now is decades of an institutional failure on the American government's part. And so while we haven't seen much accountability yet, we're really hoping that we start to see it. We're really hoping that, that the powerful men that are potentially involved in the United States, face at least the same social repercussions that they're facing in England.
What do you think has been taken out of the files? We know that there are about 2.5 million files that still have not been released. What do you think are in those files that haven't been released?
I think we don't know, and that's why we need for them to be released. Why are they still withholding almost 3 million documents? And, from what we saw released in the last dump of files, that was really horrific. We saw some incredibly horrific information. So if that's what we're seeing that they're willing to release, what are we not seeing?
Do you suspect, Charlene, that there are videos and photos of perpetrators that are being held back?
I know there are videos and photos. I know that Jeffrey had recording cameras in his house, and I know that there's definitely things that they don't want to release for the public for many reasons.
Do you think President Trump is is included in some of those files?
I think that many people have been named, and I think that that's not a question for survivors. It's the job of the Department of Justice to follow up on leads that they have in this case.
Do you trust the Department of Justice to do that?
No.
I can't say that I have a whole lot of faith in the current Justice Department, but I am always willing to be proven wrong.
Yesterday we saw Ghislaine Maxwell appear before a congressional committee. She pleaded the Fifth. She invoked her right to silence.
That wasn't her?
They did release, I don't know if you've seen it, a video of her not answering any questions. What did you make of that, just seeing her?
I feel that that is
Not her.
any transparency or taking any kind of accountability for what happened. She is a convicted sex offender, and I feel that that was more of a bargaining tool for her as opposed to actually telling the truth.
I don't think anyone was surprised that she invoked the Fifth Amendment yesterday. We've seen this behavior over and over and over again, using what she knows about this case as a bargaining chip for more leniency when she is a convicted sex offender. And I think that it's also important to really pay attention to the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell has perjured herself in depositions. She was mistruthful in her interview with Todd Blanche this past summer. And I just really wonder why we keep giving her the opportunity to tell the truth, and we haven't given the survivors the opportunity to tell the truth.
There are calls for the former ambassador to the US, Peter Mandelson, and former Prince Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor to come and give evidence here. Do you think that would be useful?
Yes, I would support that because they have evidence towards everything that has happened to us. However, I also hope that they don't take note of what Ghislaine Maxwell just did and plead the Fifth.
I think that if Peter Mandelson and Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor were to appear, that would be incredibly helpful. I think that anyone who's been named in these files who could have any information about the crimes that were committed need to show their bravery and tell the truth about what they know. It's important to remember that just because someone's named doesn't necessarily mean that they're implicated in Epstein's crimes. However, they may have information about those crimes, and we need for these people to come forward and to be brave and to tell what they know.
Has the royal family's response been sufficient so far?
I feel like it has been sufficient so far because Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor no longer carries the title that he has. But I also feel like I don't know if that's enough. I feel that he still has financial gain from the family that he was born into. However, I do respect the royal family, and I respect all the decisions that they have made.
How would you gauge the public reaction of the rest of the royal family with regard to this? Have they been sympathetic enough? Have they said enough about survivors, in your view?
Yes, I do feel like they need to say more and be sympathetic to the survivors. And although I understand it is the king's brother, I think that's why it might have taken so long, because it is hard when it's a family relationship to actually, come out and say things against your brother. But I do commend him for what he just said yesterday and accepting what survivors have gone through.
When you said that you're aware that there are videos and photos and that there were cameras in Jeffrey Epstein's property, what kind of things do you think are on those video recordings?
Well, I know from my personal experience what happened to me, and those videos and photos have not been released. So I do know that there's a lot of things that have not been released in regards to what happened to me personally and from what I hear from the other survivors.
Just to be clear, do you think some of the abuse you suffered was recorded covertly by Jeffrey Epstein?
It has been alleged that it was recorded, and there were some times, to be honest, when I was there, that Jeffrey would know what was going on and he would question me about it. And I didn't know how he knew that at the time. Specifically, there were even conversations in cars that would come and pick me up from where I was and bring me to the house. And if I was having a conversation in the car, he would know about it. So I always found these things a little bit strange. So I do believe that there were cameras, and it has been said there were cameras.
You had a watch on, that was a camera.
From different places that I was at, his house, or even on the island, and I haven't heard those come out. There's a lot of things that have happened to me that have not been released.
Does your internet bill keep getting higher? That's because typical internet deals are full of surprises.
For you, what does justice look like in this case? Where are you trying to get to in this journey?
Justice would look like accountability and transparency, truth moving forward, protection for the survivors,
excuse me,
legal ramifications for anybody who has hurt us, the truth to actually come out. I'm also really concerned. What's happened to us happened to us. But what about the next generation? So for accountability and truth to happen, we need some reforms to be made. We need to completely redo the system for the public to have trust in it again. And we need to protect the next generation from another sex trafficking crime.
Right.
Our attention is being redirected because of the men who are potentially involved in this case. And this issue has been politicized in a way that it absolutely should not be. This is a crime. We are victims of the crime of human trafficking. And to have this crime that was committed against us be played out in the political arena has been really, really difficult for us, because when you peel back the layers, right, we are girls and young women. We may be women, grown women now, but we were girls and young women who were victimized by Epstein and Maxwell in a sex trafficking ring. And if this was John Doe, who lived down the street from you, who were victimized by Epstein and Maxwell in a sex trafficking ring. And if this was John Doe, who lived down the street from you, I think that people would view this very differently than they're viewing it now because of the names of the people that are involved.
When you talk about the names of the people involved, how wide, I mean, did you get any kind of sense with your interactions with Epstein of how wide this went? This was international in dimension, but how many people do you think were involved with the abuse?
I think that we have no way of knowing that. This is crime that, by the DOJ's own admission, has 1,000 victims. And so when you're thinking about people that could be involved in the crime of sex trafficking, you're not only talking about the men who are purchasing sex, or who are exploiting the young women, but you're thinking about all of the systems that are enabling them. What were the financial systems that enabled them? What were the social systems that enabled them? So when we're looking at the crime of sex trafficking, we really need to look further than
a lot
just
of
the
factors are
perpetrators
involved,
of the
a lot
crimes.
of people involved.
And Charlie, do you get
other than
the
just the
impression
predator
that this was way bigger than we currently realise?
Yes, and I think that will be found in the files that have not been released.
And I mean, you must know.
So that's why they're not being released. That is why they're not being released.
That have not been released.
It was way bigger than we currently realise.
We really need to look further than just the perpetrators of the crimes.
And Charlie, do you get the impression that this was way bigger than we currently realise?
Yes, and I think that will be found in the files that have not been released.
And I mean, you must know, having talked to other survivors and through your own knowledge, some of the perpetrators that haven't been named. I'm not asking you to name them, but can you give us a sense of the types of people that we may end up eventually finding out about?
I think the types of people are very powerful and wealthy people. Their names are being hidden because they are powerful and wealthy, and they have the financial resources and basically the connections to do this.
Lawmakers.
I've heard it suggested in the last 24 hours, for example, senior figures in foreign governments. That chimes with what you know, is it?
Yes, I think it's the most powerful, wealthy people in the world that are all connected, to be honest.
How difficult has this process been for you? What are the kind of the darkest places you've had to go mentally to get to where you are today?
I think that anytime you're asking someone to relive the most horrific moments of their life, it's going to take a toll in one way or another. I think that when we look at survivors, there are a lot of terms we can use. We can use victim, we can use survivor, and the term that I like to use is thriver. And I feel like there's a trajectory. I think that, any one of those labels may fit you any time of any day. And so while this is really incredibly difficult to relive over and over and over again,
Joe, I see your cup, your tea.
It might be the reliving it that is fueling me to seek justice for it.
Thank you, Mrs. Tom.
Because it's been so difficult.
Bless their heart, Lord.
We are at a point now where this is no longer just about us. This is about survivors of sexual assault everywhere. And they're watching what's happening. They're watching how we're being treated. And we have a chance to really set the tone for a different way of being as a society here. And what I really fear is that if survivors continue to see us treated the way that we're being treated, that could have a really chilling and silencing effect, because people who are already reluctant to talk about the crimes that have been committed against them might feel even more so after seeing what's going on with us in the moment. But again, like I said, this is about more than us, and we have a responsibility. We have this position of visibility that not many survivors get, and we take that really seriously. And so we're going to do whatever we have to find justice, not just for ourselves, but for survivors everywhere.
Bless her heart.
Experience Japan.
Oh, Lord, I pray for healing.
To you. Explore futuristic cities.
On your social media, I know you have 3 words to describe yourself. I don't know if you can recall those, but just explain what they are and why you picked those 3 words to sum up who you are.
I chose unmatched, unbreakable, and unapologetic because it takes a lot of strength to speak out. And I just recently came out. And the reason I recently came out is because I was unable to speak out earlier. I was in an abusive relationship. So I went from being abused from Jeffrey straight into an abusive relationship. So this is me taking my power back. And I'm unmutable, meaning I'm going to tell the truth straight into an abusive relationship. So this is me taking my power back, and I'm unmutable, meaning I'm going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I'm unbreakable because, well, honestly, I learned to have my survivor sisters, and I really felt like they make me feel stronger than ever. We really do lean on each other, and I honestly couldn't do this without them. Going out into the world by yourself, just as a person who's abused by anybody in a relationship, it's hard to mentally come back from that. And these people actually fully understand. My girls, we survivor sisters, understand everything that I've been through. I have never had this experience before in my life, and it's beautiful.
Wow. Wow. Bless their heart, Lord. Ooh. On to the next one. Get the likes up. I got to come back at 12:15. On Revelations. I'm coming back, y'all. Where you going? Not now. No. Not now.
It truly is, this is somehow someone that is popular in certain right-leaning circles in the U.S. right now.
Wow.
But this political philosopher who's very close to Peter Thiel. He has this quote about what should be done with the undesirables of society. He calls it a humane alternative to genocide, and it sounds just like something Klaus Schwab would say.
Probably like Yuval Harari's quote.
It truly is, this is somehow someone that is popular in certain right-leaning circles in the U.S. right now.
Wow.
But
what's his name?
Yes,
I gotta look him up.
Curtis Yarvin. There was this National Security Commission called the National Security Commission on AI. Eric Schmidt, unsurprisingly, led it. And he basically in some of the documentation that came out of that commission via FOIA request showed that they felt that the only way for the U.S. to catch up to China, and this is my opinion, was essentially to become China, right? In the name of beating China, we have to do all the things.
That sounds like a very...
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is
I
base
may need to
44.
come back to this
This is the
one.
first
Americans criticize about China. So the idea was in China, they use AI for everything. AI has crept into every facet of a person's life in a Chinese megacity. And so we need to make Americans use AI just as much, if not more, in order to leapfrog Chinese AI.
Yeah, look at this client.
Hello. Donald Trump said recently he has a great relationship with the blacks, though unless the blacks are a family of white people, I bet he's mistaken.
I bet you he is too. I bet he is too. Y'all reckon he mistaken? That's it.
See what happens, but I watched her in Munich, and she...
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert attention from you.
I'm about to go to bed. Okay, good night.
Something to hide. What's your response to that?
I hope you feel better.
I've been exonerated, and I have nothing to do with Jeffrey
Epstein.
They went in
reflections. If you got some, Himalaya salt, or some septic salt, sea salt, get you a nice pinch, put it under your tongue, and let it dissolve. And then drink it down with some hot or warm water. It'll take that migraine away. Himalaya salt, sea salt, that's Celtic salt. Yeah, it'll take that's magnesium. If you got some magnesium pills, take that magnesium. Have a good night.
Exonerated, and I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact,
this
Jeffrey
man lies. Oh my
God! I
God!
don't get elected with some author. Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting
attention from you and that your administration has something to hide. What's your response to that?
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated, and I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know. They got to see what happens.
Now it's their problem. The other day, I missed. I liked them.
I've been totally exonerated on Epstein, and it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in.
Quote, I have nothing to hide, says the guy in charge of an administration that has hidden literally everything since day one as it relates to Epstein. Remember that when Donald Trump says that he's got nothing to hide, that Pam Bondi claimed the files were on her desk and ready to be released a year ago?
Well, we know good damn well they ain't have time to read it. Trump loved a lot, don't it?
From the discharge petition,
Lilac.
that Trump is trying to get Thomas Massie primaried because he authored the bill that forced the files release, that we're now 2 months past the deadline for the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and still 3 million files have not been released.
Said they ain't have enough time.
And that of the files that were released, it just so happens that the victims' information was revealed, but the co-conspirators' names were hidden, which I suppose is just one big coincidence. I mean, hell, this isn't even some conspiracy theory. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Trump's most vocal supporter, admitted the extent of this cover-up within the last 24 hours.
What was happening in the background for months?
My audience already knows. I show that all the time. You the one that's the guest over here. You the one that act like you can't hear and can't read. It's all over the place. What are you talking about? Me and my tea sippers, we know. So I'm sorry, but if you want me to go back into my archives and pull it out and show you, you need to hit my Cash App Super Chat Super Sticker. Cause my tea sippers, we know the truth. You the one need to know. Or you need to stop lying to yourself. Get off that Kool-Aid. They red Kool-Aid ain't never been good for nobody. No, you alive victims have not all exonerated him.
This is just one big coincidence.
So be quiet.
No,
quit lying. We don't lie over here. Handle, we don't lie over here. We do not lie over here. Ask them why he can't stop using the restroom on himself. Sasha Riley done already explained to us why he can't use drawers. What do you mean? He can't wear drawers without having big old shit stain on them. So stop lying to yourself. All the victims have not exonerated him. You're a lie. Yes, sea salt, yeah. You know, get you a nice pinch and stick it up under your tongue and let it sit there. And if you get thirsty, get you warm water, as warm as you can take it. Yeah, we need to all really start putting some sea salt in our water. Sea salt, Himalaya salt, or septic salt, because we are deficient in magnesium. And it's not in the bottled waters. They say even put some sea salt, a pinch of sea salt in your bottled waters, because the trace minerals that we need, that our body don't produce, they've taken it out of the water when they filter the bottled water. So, go away. They go away, handler. It's like, go away. Don't come over here with that lying bull crap. We gonna eat you up. We gonna eat you like Trump was eating up them minors, allegedly. Yeah.
Taylor Greene, Trump's most vocal supporter, admitted the extent of this cover-up within the last 24 hours.
What was happening in the background for months leading up to when we finally got it released?
He even told this lady here, please stop. You're gonna incriminate my friends. He more concerned about his friends than the victims. So handler, you don't care about the victims? Is that what you're trying to tell us over here? Is that what you're trying to tell us over here? You don't have no empathy or regards for the victims? Yeah, you may need to go and walk away, baby. Walk on by. This ain't the spot. But who got you? Somebody done got you. Somebody done got you. Oh, who done got you? Janet get you. She don't want to play no more. Janet said, I don't want to play. Okay, Janet has spoken.
Hell, this isn't even some conspiracy theory. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Trump's most vocal supporter, admitted the extent of this cover-up within the last 24 hours.
And she knows.
What was happening in the background for months leading up to when we finally got it released is we were getting pressure from the White House. We were getting pressure from the speaker. Do not take your name off this discharge petition. And we're like, why? We're talking about the Epstein files. This is the ultimate the ultimate promise. This is the ultimate way to provide transparency. This is the ultimate way to take it to the deep state and expose a whole criminal cabal of rich, powerful elites that I believe control everything. And guess what? Come to find out, they do.
They do.
And
they do.
You know, so we're like, why? So in the meantime, President Trump is calling it Epstein, the whole thing a hoax. Yeah. He's calling it a Democrat hoax.
He mean a hoe. He said all of them are hoes for fooling with these minors. Yeah, not hoes. Yeah, and that girl at the top right, I'm telling y'all, she look like Pam Bondi.
And he still refuses to have anything to do with these women. So this whole thing is building. The women are saying President Trump did nothing wrong. They still say this. President Trump did nothing wrong. I know. Their attorney says President Trump, Donald Trump's the only one that helped us. And guess what? That came out in the Epstein.
Baby, it came out in the Epstein files that they have released. The ones they holding on to. The ones they holding on to, all that little hope that y'all have. Yeah, that's why he don't want them released. He up in there. Ask Katie Johnson. Yeah, ask Sasha Riley. Hell, ask his daddy. He in there. I feel Bondi was one of them. Yeah, I do too. That's her up there. I'm telling you. She up there on that plane.
Files that he reported Jeffrey Epstein.
He did.
So but Donald Trump is fighting it. President Trump is fighting it. President Trump is yelling at me. The White House is putting pressure on Nancy Mace. They take Lauren Boebert in a skiff. I don't even know what they said to
one
her
look
in
like
there.
Britney Spears.
They are attacking Thomas Massey, nonstop attacking Thomas Massey. And then one day I get a phone call from the president in September, and he is so mad at me. And he's yelling at me, and he's angry at me. And the fact that he's like, you're supporting Rand Paul Jr., and he's chewing me out for signing my name on Thomas Massey's discharge petition to release the Epstein files. And I'm trying to tell him, Mr. President, they say you did nothing wrong. This needs to come out.
He know he did,
so we're
though.
having this argument, and he tells me on this phone call,
he know he did.
Marjorie,
ain't that funny? How she's saying no, but they're saying that you did this and you did that, and he want to say dumbass, I really am in them Epstein files. That's what he want to say. While y'all saying, but not for real. Just naive as you want to be. You believe the hype. You fell for the banana in the tailpipe, and you still want to believe in this man. And he's steady trying to say, no, dumbass. I am the ringleader. Y'all still want to say, oh, it said that it wasn't him. Everybody has exonerated him. No. The ones that's going to go full blast into his ass are the ones that he don't want to let go of. Precious. So stop hoping and wanting to think that the choice that you made in believing him was the right choice. No. Couldn't a friend of mine been involved in no satanic ass shit like this, and I still believe in him or her? No. Get off that bandwagon. He lied to you.
Hurt. That's it. So if it wasn't already abundantly clear that Donald Trump is full of shit when he says that he's got nothing to hide, don't take it from me. Take it from the woman who was so close with Trump that he was literally her entire brand. You'll also note that in Donald Trump's original clip, he said this.
I've been exonerated.
That he's been exonerated. I'm sorry, but how? We just found out that Trump's name is in the Epstein files more than 1 million times.
1 million times.
This guy somehow manages to go from a lot implicated to even more implicated on like a daily basis.
Full-blown
If he's exonerated,
implicated.
then Osama bin Laden is exonerated for 9/11. Then Donald Trump says this.
And I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein.
Quote, I had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing? Nothing? My dude, you wrote him birthday cards. You're all over his emails.
You wrote him a check.
Girls from your spa where he was allowed in despite his reputation. Oh, and there's this. But where was I? Oh, right. Trump had nothing to do with Epstein. Got it. But notice this moment right here and try to catch the question being asked of Trump along with what Trump says next.
Do you think that she should publicly testify?
You know, I've been totally exonerated on Epstein. And it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and many
You
other
pulled them
Democrats
in.
have been pulled in.
And then turned around and said, well, let him testify publicly then. Let him testify publicly then.
He's asked if he thinks Clinton
since you want to
should
talk that
testify,
shit.
and surprisingly, Trump doesn't respond. And the reason why he doesn't respond is because he knows that if Clinton testifies, that'll establish the precedent where former presidents who have associations with Jeffrey Epstein will be fair game to haul in front of Congress. And one day, he will be a former president who has an association with Jeffrey Epstein who will be susceptible to being hauled in front of Congress. In other words,
call that
who is Donald
wide
Trump
load
focused
ass
on
in
here?
there.
Himself. Surprise, surprise.
Wide
In fact,
load.
James Comer was actually asked about this risk for Trump, to which he said this.
President Trump's name is mentioned more than 1,000 times in these documents. Why not try to get more information from him? Try to get him to testify.
Well, I've noticed that every time you all do a gaggle like this with President Trump, somebody asked him about Epstein. So he's been answering questions about Epstein. Well, has Bill Clinton ever answered any questions on Epstein or Hillary Clinton? So
No, it has everything to do with that investment
so why is
property.
Trump, who is named in the files more than the Clintons, going to get the same treatment
Epstein
that Comer
messed
is
around
demanding of
and
the Clintons?
tried to blackmail him
Because he's
and
already
threatened
been
to
asked
expose
about
him.
it? Okay,
It's about
but,
exposing
this is
him
the kind of stuff that Trump says
for embezzling.
when he's asked about it.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this.
So apparently that right there was sufficient for James Comer, Mr. Serious Investigation. But surely there must be a more satisfactory answer.
What did Jeffrey Epstein read in his emails when he said you knew about
Why was your wife follow up on him?
Nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago.
Why was your wife sitting in his lap with his hand down her rear end? Huh? Why was she? Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about? You don't know what I'm talking about? You sure you don't know what I'm talking about? So you want me to, huh? You don't remember that? Oh, you thought you scrubbed all of that? Do you not remember? Or you thought it was scrubbed? Because I'm finna remind you. Since he was a creep, why your wife, whom he had first, still sitting on his lap, with his hand down her rear end in her drawers and shit. Huh? Hello? Hello? Yeah, if he is such a creep, why your funky face ass wife sitting on his lap and he kissing on her, but his backhand is down her drawers? Huh? I wasn't supposed to bring that up. Oh, okay. You still want the people to believe that bull crap that's coming out your mouth? Okay. I'll let you go on with the lie. Okay, go ahead.
It's really, what did he mean when he spent all the time with Bill Clinton, with the president of Harvard, that is Summers, Larry Summers, whatever his name is, and all of the other people that he spent time with. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years. But he also saw strike because I was president. So he dictated.
Oh, baby, it'd have been an uproar. It'd have been an uproar if Obama did it. And Michelle sitting on his lap with him digging all in her ass and shit.
Sir, if there's nothing incriminating in the file, sir,
Quiet.
Yes. Nothing says transparency quite like calling a female reporter piggy when she tries to ask a question about Epstein. I guess that's the kind of open book nature that James Comer wants to see. But just for fun, let's try one more.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
The fact that they thought they released too much. I heard that, and you tell me something else. No, I think it's really time for the country to get onto something
Oh,
else.
no, sir. We ain't going nowhere.
Nothing came out about me other than there was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people
like
who feel like they haven't gotten
healthcare,
justice, Mr. President?
something that people care about. Yeah, what did you say? Go ahead.
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they have gotten
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you.
But
You know, she's a young woman.
now they're
I don't think
saying
I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face. You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth.
Maxwell,
And you're a very dishonest organization.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
And they should be ashamed of you. Okay,
survivors of sexual abuse or health care?
Ah, that must be the very satisfactory response from Donald Trump that James Comer is looking for. I could see how a deposition for Trump wouldn't even be necessary since he's already been so transparent. Right, Comer? So look, the point here is abundantly clear. Trump is dissembling because he knows he's backed into a corner. And in his effort to deflect the attention away from himself, all he's done is created a precedent where now even U.S. presidents can be hauled in front of Congress to answer questions about Epstein, a point that will undoubtedly come back to bite him in the ass. Which is to say, Trump has no strategy other than just lying outright to everybody's faces, to the point that even his own favorite podcasters out there are calling him out on his bullshit.
Why would your name be redacted if you're not a victim? Like, this is what's crazy about all this. Like, how come you redact some people and you don't redact other people? Like, what is this? This is not good. None of this is good for this administration. It looks fucking terrible. It looks terrible. It looks terrible for Trump when he was saying that none of this was real. This is all a hoax. This is not a hoax. Like, did you not know? Maybe he didn't know, if you want to be charitable.
I need for y'all to hit the like button. What we doing?
And if you got redacted people's names and these people aren't victims, you're not protecting the victims. So what are you doing?
Right.
And how come all this shit is not released?
All the people that are defending, all the people that are saying that, like, these files don't show it.
Yeah, I need for y'all to hit the like button. I'm an hour and 21 minutes in. What are we doing? What are we doing? Double tap the face of your screen. Hit the like button. It's 3 dots at the top right. I'm going to have to pause until we can get them likes up. If he don't want to answer the victims of the people, America, we're going to answer how much. Yeah, he's going to have to answer to God. I'm going into Revelations. I'm finna go in there at 12:15. Y'all hit the like button. Please stop tap. It's 3 dots at the top right. You need to hit them. Get the thumb up.
Trafficking ring or...
Get the thumbs up. Get the thumb up.
They don't show anything, and that everybody's overreacting, and that nobody... This is a moral panic, and people don't understand what's going on. To me, are either doing that, being willfully disingenuous for whatever reason, or they've gone mad. They've gone like crazy, and that's okay too.
Evil.
These are thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of documents. Why would the FBI have a case? Why would there be thousands of pages of documents in a case?
If you can't get the likes up, you might as well go ahead and leave, please. Because we want the tea and we appreciate the tea. Get the likes up. Hit the 3 dots at the top right. If you're on your phone, double tap the face of your phone. We too grown for this. We too grown for this. We too grown for this. Double tap the face of your phone. Come on. Thank you, Mrs. Tom. When I end it abruptly,
nothing
don't be
happened.
mad at me.
It seemed really weird.
Thank you,
nothing
Janet.
All of these women for years had just been wrongly accusing all of these powerful people.
Obviously, I felt that they were covering it up, and that's why I was like, what the fuck is going on? But to even respond, to me, that means that they're in, like, immediate oh shit mode, right? Like, I knew it, and I pushed, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? But it was so peculiar because they campaigned so hard on exposing it. Like the Bongino guy and Cash and Trump are campaigning on exposing it.
Pam Bondi and Cash Patel saying there was nothing there, which is all so ironic because remember, last year, Pam was like, the files are on my desk. I have the list. I'm making binders. We're going to release all of it. And then randomly, like 2 weeks later, she's
millions
like,
and millions.
There's no list. There's nothing to prosecute. There's no file. We can't tell you anything. Sorry, we can't drop anything else. No files. The list does not exist. Like Cash Patel even testified about that. He sat in front of all of our representatives on camera and said, there is nothing there. We have no evidence that we need to prosecute anyone else. It was just Epstein trafficking children to himself. There is nothing there.
At this point, I'm not sure who Trump is performing for, but it's clearly not working. And I have a feeling that the lies are only going to get more and more obvious as he lodges himself deeper and deeper into this hole that he's created.
Absolutely.
Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media,
thank God for independent media, baby, because one thing is for sure, he has it sewn up that the regular media is not supposed to Epstein.
Pam Bondi says,
hold on,
all the Epstein files have now been released. I guess she's rounding up by a few million documents. This is just another day.
Oh, wait a minute, I wasn't trying to do that.
I think.
And 300 names. Oh, this was just a minute ago. Oh, no, I want to go ahead.
Black book for people who knew about or participated. Attorney General Pam Bondi claims the DOJ released all the Epstein files and even listed out 300 names. But we're seeing blowback saying that is not the end of the story. So we're going to go through some of the notable people named to understand what exactly their connection is, if any, to the accused child.
Get the likes up.
Attorney General Pam Bondi claims the DOJ released all the Epstein files and even listed out 300 names. But we're seeing blowback saying that is not the end of the story. So we're going to go through some of the notable people named to understand what exactly their connection is, if any, to the accused child sex trafficker. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Hey, Jesse.
Well, after Attorney General Pam Bondi's battle in front of the House Judiciary Committee last week, where she was grilled on all matters Jeffrey Epstein, namely regarding redactions and whether there were in fact other co-conspirators or not. In fact, we did a whole sidebar on that. Bondi then sent a letter out to lawmakers over the weekend, saying that all the Epstein files have been released. And most importantly, she listed out over 300 high-profile names. Now, at first glance, you might be saying, wait a second. Did she just release the Epstein list? The list of Epstein's alleged co-conspirators, people who allegedly engaged in criminal activity, the abuse of young girls for years? That's why we have to put into context what this is about, okay? Because I'm going to go over the letter, I'm going to go over the names, and try to make sense of it. Because a few things here, as we have previously reported, the DOJ indicated that there is no central Jeffrey Epstein client list that he had prepared. There's no little black book.
Why y'all still acting like y'all believe her?
Participated in criminal activity and that he kept.
She been lying and she's still lying.
Not surprising. I never thought that there was anything like this. There's no evidence of that. There is an address book that we've talked about here on Sidebar before. It's not the same thing. And to be clear, I'm going to say this over and over again. Just because someone is mentioned in the files or mentioned in an address book doesn't mean that they knew about or engaged in criminal activity. So let me briefly summarize the letter and then I'll get into the names, okay? So in a letter that was dated this past Saturday, February 14th, This is addressed to the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chairman Chuck Grassley, Ranking Member Dick Durbin, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, and Ranking Member Jamie Raskin. The letter explains that under the newly passed Epstein Files Transparency Act, the DOJ has to explain everything that was released. And remember, this was an act that said, you got to turn over everything.
She added President.
So one of the things they have to do under the law is they have to explain what was released. They have to explain a summary of all the redactions and the legal basis for them. And this is the key. Quote, a list of all government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in the released materials. Okay, they had to list this out. So first, some context here. Pam Bondi explained that they released all the files in their possession regarding 9 categories. Basically, anything about Epstein.
Get the likes up. Hit the 3 dots at the top right. Double tap the face of your screen or leave. Come on. Hurry up. The quicker you hit the like button, the quicker we can move forward. Because next time I'm ending it.
Anything about Ghislaine Maxwell, flight logs or travel records, associated government officials and entities, immunity deals, internal Department of Justice communications regarding not charging someone or prosecuting someone, anything about destroying Epstein data and materials, and any materials surrounding Jeffrey Epstein's death. That's basically a summary of what they had to release. Now, in terms of what was withheld from public disclosure, the letter explains that there are those records that were subject to certain privileges, like attorney-client privilege, but the letter made clear that no records were withheld that were merely just embarrassing to someone, and that they tried to remove personally identifiable information about victims, although, as I'm sure you heard from various reporting, there were allegations that the DOJ failed to 100% do that. And then we get this, quote, below is a list of all government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in the released materials, although the letter explains that politically exposed person, not really well defined. But there is a footnote of the list that says, any omissions from the list are unintentional, and as explained in the previous letters to Congress, a result of the volume and speed with which the department complied with the act. Individuals whose names were redacted for law enforcement sensitive purposes are not included, meaning if there's an ongoing investigation. Now, I'm not going to read you all 300 names. We're going to put it up on the screen here, but this is an example of some names. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Steve Bannon, George W. Bush, Bill and Hillary Clinton, George Clooney, Ron DeSantis, Richard Branson, Fidel Castro, Kurt Cobain, Mick Jagger, Cory Booker, Jeff Bezos, Joe and Jill Biden, Michael Cohen, James Comey, David Copperfield, Robert De Niro, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Jared Kushner, Janis Joplin, Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg, Peter Thiel, Ivanka Trump, J.D. Vance, Chris Tucker, Rupert Murdoch, Gavin Newsom, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Elvis Presley, Brett Ratner, Alyssa Milano, Elon Musk, Larry Nassar, Barack Obama, Tucker Carlson, Rosie O'Donnell, Bill Gates, Rudy Giuliani, Nikki Haley, Leon Black, Woody Allen, Alex Jones, Michael Jackson. Okay, so that's just a sampling of the names. Obviously, there are a lot more. Now, I'm going to get to what this means. But before I do that, Real quick, gotta give a shout out to today's sponsor, OneSkin. You have to take care of your skin. Look, as we get older, dryness, deeper wrinkles, it can be very frustrating. But OneSkin's OS01 face moisturizer is a game changer. To this letter is Representative Nancy Mace. She went on X, said, quote, despite the messy vocal in response to this letter is Representative Nancy Mace. She went on X, said, quote, despite the memo released by DOJ last night, not all to this letter is Representative Nancy Mace. She went on X, said, quote, despite the memo released by DOJ
Somebody
last night,
taking likes back. So y'all taking likes back? Is that what we doing tonight? Hit the like button and then you take the like back. Is that what we're doing? Well, I ain't moving until you get the likes back up. How about that? You're going to learn today. It's time.
Files have been released, and the excuses provided for not releasing all the files will not hold up in a court of law. This isn't going away until people go to jail. There's another one. Where are all the logs from the receptionist station at Epstein's New York home? They kept track of underage children and people in power coming and going. Here's another one. Where is all the audio and video from the Lolita Express, meaning Jeffrey Epstein, jet? Then you had Representative Rokana, quote, the DOJ is once again
I got another live set at
10:15 and who was mentioned in an email.
So if I haven't, if I drop this, I'm coming right back. It's already set.
Nassar, who went to prison for the sexual abuse of hundreds of young women and child pornography, with no clarification of how either was mentioned in the files, is absurd. Release the full file, stop protecting predators, redact only the survivors' names. So why are all of these people listed? And I really want to focus more on names we haven't talked about as much. Like we've already discussed in previous episodes of Sidebar, the Clintons, President Trump, Director Woody Allen's connection to Epstein, Elon Musk's back and forth with Epstein or his people regarding meeting up. Actually, I'll tell you what, before I even get to other names, one more thing about Musk that I thought was interesting, and this was outlined in a Fortune article. The files allegedly reveal a scheme by Epstein to get close to Musk's brother, Kimball, and even tried to handpick a woman for him. Like you have this email from an Epstein associate, Boris Nikolic, to Epstein in 2012 that says, just talk to Kimball. His actual birthday is on Thursday night, although his party is on Saturday. Kimball, Elon, and few of their closest friends will go out that night. I told him that you will join us as well. Also, I told him that you are coming with Redacted.
T-Steppers, meet me back here at 12:15. I'm going to leave it right here. I'm not going to play with these people tonight. I got another live, 10:15. What's on the... Oh... And then Miss Tom, I'm going to pick up right here. Is that all right? I'm going to be right here. I'm not going to move it.